Lesson 9.1, Simple Events. A cheesecake has 4 slices of each type as shown. What fraction of the cheesecake is chocolate? That would be 1/4. This is the chocolate part of the cheesecake right here. Suppose your friend gives you the first piece of cheesecake without asking you which type you prefer. Are your chances of getting original the same as getting raspberry? Yes, they are. Each of the 4 types of cheesecake represented in the table here is represented by 1/4 of the cheesecake. So the possibility of you getting original as getting raspberry is exactly the same. They are what we call equally likely outcomes. An outcome is any one of the possible results of an action. A simple event is one outcome or a collection of outcomes. For example, getting a piece of chocolate cheesecake is a simple event. The chance of that event happening is called its probability. The key concept, probability. If all outcomes are equally likely, the probability of a simple event is a ratio that compares the number of favorable outcomes to the number of possible outcomes, written as P event. In this case, in our previous example, that would be the probability of chocolate cake. The favorable outcome is getting chocolate. The number of possible outcomes is 4. So the probability of you getting chocolate cheesecake is 1 in 4. The ratio of 1 to 4. What is the probability of rolling an even number on a number cube marked with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on its faces? So we would write that as the probability of getting an even number is the ratio of even numbers possible to the total numbers possible. There are 3 even numbers out of 6, which we would simplify then to 1 out of 2. So the probability of rolling an even number is 1 in 2, or 0.5 if you write it as a decimal, or 50%. Use the number cube above to find each probability, right, as a ratio in simplest form. We have 3 even numbers. We also have 3 odd numbers. They are 1, 3, and 5. So the probability of odd would be also 3 and 6, which we would simplify to 1 and 2. The probability of getting a 5 or a 6, there is 1 5 and 1 6 out of 6. So the probability there is 2 out of 6, which simplifies to 1 and 3. The probability of getting a prime number, the prime numbers here are 3 and 5. 3 and 5. 1 is not a prime, by the way. So 2 and 6, which simplifies to 1 and 3. Outcomes occur at random if each outcome occurs by chance. For example, rolling a number on a number cube occurs at random. Simone and her 3 friends were deciding how to pick the song they will sing for their school's talent show. They decide to roll a number cube. The person with the lowest number chooses the song. If her friends roll a 6, 5, and 2, what is the probability that Simone will get to choose the song? The possible outcomes of rolling a number cube are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. In order for Simone to be able to choose the song, she will need to roll a 1. So let the probability of A be the probability that Simone will choose the song. That would mean the number of favorable outcomes for her over the number of possible outcomes, in this case, is 1 in 6. So the probability that Simone will choose the song is 1 in 6, or about 17%. Not good. The table shows the number of brass instruments in the New York Philharmonic. Suppose one brass instrument player is randomly selected to be a featured performer. Find the probability of each event, write as a fraction in simplest form. The probability that a trumpet player will be chosen. First of all, we have to decide on how many there are altogether. There's 10, 13, 14 possible brass players. There are 3 trumpet players, so the probability there is 3 in 14. The probability that a flute player would be chosen is 0, which means it's impossible. You can see in the chart down here that impossible has a probability of 0. The reason for that is there are no flute players in the New York Philharmonic brass players. The probability that will be a brass player is actually 14 out of 14. They're all brass players. And you can see on the chart down here, then that means that is a certainty, which means the probability of that happening is 1. The probability that it is a horn or a tuba, horns are 6, tubas are 1. That means 7 favorable out of 14 total. So the probability that a horn or a tuba will be selected is 1 and 2. The probability that an event will happen can be any number from 0 to 1, including 0 and 1, as shown on the number line below. Notice that probabilities can be written as fractions, decimals, or percents. We mentioned that earlier. Either Simone will go first or she will not go first. These two events are complementary events. The sum of the probabilities of any event and its complement is 1 or 100%. In symbols, the probability of A plus the probability of not A equals 1. Referring back to example 2 now. Find the probability that Simone will not choose the song. Well, we already mentioned that the probability of her getting to choose a song requires that she roll a 1. That probability is 1 in 6. If we write the probability of A plus the probability of not A equals 1, that's 5/6, plus whatever the probability of not A is. We would write this in equation form. Subtract 1/6 from both sides to get the probability of not A alone by itself. In this case, that is 5 and 6. That is the complement of the probability that Simone will choose the song. The probability that she will not choose the song is 5 and 6, or about 83%. Ramon's teacher uses a spinner similar to the one shown at the right to determine the order in which each group will make their presentation. Use the spinner to find each probability. Write as a fraction in simplest form. The probability that it's not group 4, well, we have 6 possible groups. There is only one 4. So the probability that it's not 4 is 5 and 6. The probability that it's not 1 or 2 would be 4 and 6, which we would simplify to 2 and 3. Use the spinner to find each probability. Write as a fraction in simplest form. And we'll write those down here. Get a little more room. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total possibilities. There is one M, so the probability of M is 1 in 8. Number 2, the probability of Q or R. We have one Q, we have one R. So we would write that as 2 and 8, which we would then simplify to 1 and 4. Number 3, the probability of a vowel seems a little strange because these are numbers and not letters. The point they're making here is that this is an impossibility. Therefore, the probability is 0. Robert has a bag that contains 7 blue, 5 purple, 12 red, and 30 orange marbles. Find each probability if he draws one marble at random from the bag. Write as a fraction in simplest form. Well, step number 1 is to add the marbles. There's 30 altogether. So number 4, the probability that he will get purple. We have how many purple? We have 5 purple out of 30. 5 favorable out of 30 total. Simplifies to 1 and 6. Number 5, the probability of red or orange. We have how many red? 12 red, 6 orange. That's 18 out of 30. which would simplify to 3 and 5. Dividing by the common factor of 6. Number 6, the probability that we'll get a green. If we look at our list here, we got blue, purple, red, orange. There is no green, so our probability is 0. Number 7, the probability of it being not blue. Well, the probability of blue is 7 in 30. So the complement of that would be 23 in 30. So the probability of not blue would be the complement. That means the number we would add to the probability of blue to equal 1 is 23 in 30. Number 8, the probability of not red or orange. Well, we just figured out the probability of red or orange was 3 and 5. So the complement of that would be 2 and 5. So the probability of not red or orange is 2 and 5. 9. The probability that it's not yellow, seeing how we don't have any yellow, would be 1. That means it's a certainty to occur. We will always draw a marble that is not yellow. Shante asked her classmates how many pets they own. The response are in the table. If a student in her class is selected at random, what is the probability that the student does not own 3 or more pets? Well, we have 4 people that own 3 or more. Our total is 25. So 4 and 25 would own 3 or more pets. We want the complement of that, which in this case would be 21 and 25. So the probability of not 3 or more is 21 and 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vocabulary terms required in this lesson. Students should write them in their notables and memorize them for the vocabulary test. At this point, you should quit the video. Go to NICU at www.nicu.net. Take lesson quiz 9-1. Thanks for watching.